Is it coming up? No. It should be. It says live. All right. We are going live. I'm trying to go live, but it's not coming up. There we go. Okay, perfect. So, hey guys, so today we are going to be talking about how to go through equations of a circle. Okay, so now we're going to be okay. Equations of a circle. So what you should be doing is you should have your equation of a circle paper out, and we're going to review some of those very important concepts. So first things first, whenever you have your circle, we are going to go here and let's take a look at some of the highlights. So the center of the circle is always going to have opposite signs. We can see here's our circle. The formula takes the opposite sign of the center. So for example, if you have 3 and 5 inside the equation, it would be -3 and -5. Whenever you go from the formula to the center, you have to make sure that you remember to switch the signs. Okay, the next thing coming up is, let's see, I don't know why this isn't, let's put the camera here. Because I feel like kids pay attention more when you can like see a face. So I'm going to move this to this side, and then let's move the camera over here, and then we should be good. Okay, so those are the first things to go over. Next, anytime that you have the radius of the circle. So when you were looking at the formula equation, we know that it's always going to have the radius squared. So right here, that's what I've kind of highlighted for you. So when you go into and you're looking at the formula to the radius, because the equation has the radius squared, you have to take the square root, and that's going to bring you down. So we have to make sure to take that square root. Now, if we have the radius and we want to plug it into the equation, what we're going to do is we're going to square the radius first, and that's how it gets put in. Other things to remember: if you are given the center of the circle and a point, you will then have to use the distance formula to find the radius. Now, the distance formula is located on the formula sheet. You also can do the hack, which is what I'm going to be modeling coming up in these equations. If you are given the diameter of the circle, okay, the diameter of a circle, you really can't do anything with it until you get the center. And the way that you get the center is, remember, we know half of a diameter gives us the radius, and the radius is from the center to the outside point. So you're going to take the diameter and you're going to have to use the midpoint formula. And basically you add the x divided by 2, add the y divided by 2, and that's going to give you the center. Once you have the center, you're going to go back up here. Now you have the center and a point. You can use the distance formula again, and that's going to give you the length of the radius. You can plug everything in. Now down here, if you are given the radius of the circle and you're given the center and you're given a point, you can use the distance formula to compare and see if that point is on the circle, in the circle, or outside of the circle. The questions that you saw had to do with like earthquakes and like, did you feel the earthquake tremble? That kind of is where this comes from. You might also be asked to find the equation of the tangent. When you find the equation of the tangent, you're going to first find the slope of the radius. Then you're going to do the reciprocal, and then you'll plug all that stuff into y equals mx plus b. So let's jump over here and look at our first set of questions. So now you're looking at EQ1. So EQ1, we have some things that we want to try to take a look at. Let's see if I can make this bigger for you. Let's do 200%. It's a little bit too high. Okay, so here we go. So let's look at A. So A was pointing to this equation right here. Thank you for being quiet. So when we look here, we're looking at this circle. And we have to first find the center. Well, the center of this larger circle is clearly at 0, 0. So we don't have to worry about changing signs, and we don't even have to worry about writing the 0. That's just going to stay. Okay, if you feel like you have to write something, you can put 0, 0 really kind of small. The next thing you need to do is you need to determine the radius, because when we have the radius, we will be able to plug into the equation. So if we look here, we can see that the radius is 4. So with it being 4 on the previous page, I told you that you have to take that 4 and we square it to go into the formula. So 4 squared gives us 16. So this is going to be a 16. Wow, that looks awful. So I have a 0 here, a 0 here, and a 16 here. Okay, now let's look at another color. Now we have this B circle, which is this teeny weeny circle over here. Okay, we can see that it's centered at the point 2, 0. So whenever we go from the point to the formula, we flip the signs. So if this is positive 2, it's going to become negative 2 here. And then if you want to write y plus 0, you can, but you really don't need to. So now we've put in our point. Now we're looking at the radius. Well, this radius is really teeny. The radius is only 0.5, right? Because here's 1 to 2, and it's half of that. So we're looking at a radius of 0.5. When we put it into the calculator and square it, we're going to get 0.25. And that's going to be this value right here. Okay, next. Let's erase here. Let's jump to another one. Okay, here's C. Same idea for C. Is that pink circle right here. For the pink circle, we know that our point is at -2, so we have to flip the sign. So in here, I'm putting x plus 2. I don't really have to write the 0. In this case, I will leave it blank, and it's going to have the same radius squared. So 0.5 times 0.5 gives us 0.25. Okay, let's go to the next one. D is this kind of half circle here. So if I continue this half circle, I'd get the same center as I got for that pink circle. So the center is going to be 2, and I'm going to add 2 because it's located in the negative side. And anytime I go from the center to the formula, I have to flip the signs. I'm still going to leave it at 0, so I'm not going to put anything in there. This radius, though, is 1, 2. And anytime I go from the radius to the formula, I square it. 2 squared gives me 4. So I know that that's going to be 4. I'm going to get the same experience on the other side. It's centered right here. It's centered at +2, 0. So I know I'm going to write -2 and then the 0, but I'm not going to write the 0. My radius remains at 2. So 2 squared will give me 4. So that's how we're going to do that first problem. Let's take a look at the next set. The next equation, EQ2, says what are the coordinates of the center and length of the radius. Now, in this case, we're going to have to group the x, leave a space, group the y, leave a space. So I've got my x squared plus 6x. I'm going to leave that space. I've got plus y squared minus 4y, leave a space, and that 23 is already on the other side. So now I have to go down. So I've got, this is +6, divide by 2, I get +3 squared. If I put the 9 here, I have to add 9 to this side. Now I've got my y squared, half of -4 is -2. If I go divide by 2 up, I have to square going up, and I have a +4 here. This is going to equal 23 plus 9 is 32 plus 4 is 36. So now I have the actual equation that I need, but I'm not done yet because the problem asks me to find the radius and the center. So I told you, looking at that flap, that when you go from the radius to the center, right here, you need to make sure, when you go from the formula to the center, you need to make sure that you do the opposite sign. So here's +3, so my center is going to be -3, this is -2, my center is going to be +2. Then anytime you go from the formula to the radius, we have to take the square root. Square root of 36 is +6. Technically, it's also -6, but you wouldn't have a negative distance. So that's why it's going to be that problem right there. Moving on a little bit more. Let's try to get one more question done. Oops, too much. There we go. For this next one, we want to, it gives us a lot of it already. We just have to find the equivalent. So first, we're going to group the x's. So we've got x squared minus 2x. Well, I know half of 2 is -1. And then I know that, I guess I'm only writing the formula. Plus here, well, if I divide by 2 to get to 1, 1 squared is +1. So I know I'm going to be adding 1 on this side. Then I'm going to group the y's. Now it's going to be y, half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9, so I have to add a 9 over here. And then this 3 should have gone over here to begin with, so I'm going to make this a -3. So now I've got -3 plus 1 is -2. -2 plus 9 is 7. So our answer is choice 2. Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to stop the broadcast. Hold up.